This is In Depth. It's something we've talked about, dreamed about for decades, an interstate highway connecting southwestern Indiana and western Kentucky. It's on the table and has been a drawing board work in progress for several years now. So where are we now on this? Joining me is Mindy Peterson. She is the spokesperson for the Ohio River Crossing Project that will complete this critical link of I-69 between Indiana and Kentucky. Mindy, good to see you, and thank you for taking time to talk to us. This is a long road to travel. We know that. How would you describe the progress, as you see it, to get this built right now?
So it's interesting to talk about the history, because it really has been not only years, but decades in the making, as you said, Brad. So taking a look at where we are now is very exciting, because we really are hitting another milestone with the project. I know that we went quiet for a little while. I believe that we last spoke in late 2018, early 2019, and that's when the project team published the draft environmental impact statement. And when we did that, we had identified two preferred alternatives. And since then, the project team didn't go away. We had been quiet for a while, but the project team really was hard at work, just a lot of work happening behind closed doors there. And so now we do have a single preferred alternative that was identified earlier this year. And we had a great virtual public meeting tonight to talk more about that alternative, what it looks like, and some of the modifications that have been made.
And it all comes down to money, as you well know, Mindy, that's involved in this. President Biden's infrastructure bill is being supported by Democrats, not so much by Republicans. How is federal funding, the money from Washington, D.C., going to impact getting this built?
Federal funding is a major impact on this project, because those dollars have to be available. We have infrastructure needs across this country that are critical. We have infrastructure that needs attention. We have connections that need to be made. So we have a plan, though. The states have worked really hard to identify a financial path forward. And that's why we are where we are today with this single preferred alternative. And what we have done, the states have gotten together and they've said, how are we going to get this thing built? And so they have divided the project into two sections for construction. There's now ORX Section 1 and ORX Section 2, and those improvements on the Section 1 side are entirely on the Kentucky side of the river, and that's going to be a KYTC project. And those are improvements that are going to begin in the very near future. We're talking about construction beginning on ORX Section 1 as early as next year. That's when we're expecting all of this to happen. So we really are at a time of a lot of progress on this important project.
And this is a very complicated construction project that is going to require, well, a lot of earth being moved. The landscape's going to change, and then there is the bridge itself. Can you give us an estimated time? You say the construction could start next year, but could you give me an idea, a year when we can hop into our cars and trucks and drive across this bridge? How far down the road do you see that now, with a lot of variables still remain?
Yes, absolutely. So there are a lot of variables still. But if you look at the schedule that we've laid out today, construction, I shouldn't say should, construction is going to begin next year on ORX Section 1. So that's work on the Kentucky side of the river, a lot of that approach work, and some interesting changes there with interchanges on the Kentucky side, which we can talk more about. But that construction is going to take you from 2022 to 2025. And that's going to get us to a very critical point, because you mentioned that funding, which is so critical. And both states really have to have the capacity to move the rest of this project, Section 2, forward. And that's when we start talking about that happening. So pre-construction activities, design work, some right-of-way planning, utility coordination, all of that work is expected to begin in 2025 on Section 2. And then we're talking about construction beginning on Section 2, which includes that river crossing, in 2027. Right now, to answer your question, 2031 is the date. So it is, it's a distance away, but we do have a date now circled that we anticipate this project to be complete. And I'll also tell you this, Brad, both states are looking at those opportunities. So when you talk about the president's infrastructure package and possibilities there, you better believe that both states are paying attention and looking for any opportunities there might be to accelerate this project, especially Section 2 of this project.
All right, Mindy Peterson, didn't get to talk about the US 41 twin bridges, but we will get to that in a later conversation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will be keeping in touch.
That sounds great. And Brad, the entire meeting tonight is available already on the website if people missed out, I-69, OhioRiverCrossing.com.
All right, Mindy Peterson, thank you so much.